I'd be curious to see how many other implementations don't do a DR election on point-to-point links. What's that? It doesn't. Yeah. I think are there any implementations that do DR elections on point-to-point links? Yes.
At least 2 in the room. 3.
Okay, and how many implementations don't do it? So that's 2. Me and you. Okay. So.
Okay. That's the 3rd open issue in a row where the spec stays unchanged. I'm really happy now. Less work. The 4th one was another one that Tom brought up last night, and I'm not sure I got the example right, so you have to correct me if I didn't. This is where you have a border router, and there's a non-PIM cloud, say it's DVMRP or something, and there's a PIM cloud, and this border router has joined star G state coming in and then disappearing out towards the RP. In this case, the SVT bit is not set, and the router has no MRIB route for the source, so it has no idea where SG would be. And an SG packet arrives on interface 3. What should the router do with it? The primary issue is really how does a border router decide what the incoming interface should be? And it's not clear this is a PIM spec issue versus a border router issue, but it was an issue that Tom brought up and I wanted to air again.
So I think the answer is clear in 2715, which you may or may not disagree with, but the rule that's in there is you do a routing table lookup for S and say, is this something that would be reached via the non-PIM cloud or the PIM cloud? And depending on the answer of that, then if it's the PIM cloud, then you ask PIM, so what's the correct arriving interface, which may or may not be the same interface as the interface to that. But you do a lookup to decide who gets to arbitrate, either PIM or the non-PIM, and then that protocol tells you which is the correct incoming interface. That's what 2715 says.
Okay, and now this case here, there's no route for S.
So.
What do you mean? There's no route for S at all anywhere in the table?
The router has no route at all in the routing table for S.
There's no unicast route for S?
Correct.
You
But it
dropped
could perfectly happy forward it on star G.
You dropped it.
Well, but that wouldn't be very nice in the PIM domain, right? Because you would want the forwarding to take place. So it's a very strange case because you have one routing protocol that doesn't understand shared trees and PIM trying to do its shared tree stuff. Now, I think what should happen here is if there is no SG entry and the packet arrives and it matches a star G entry, it should follow the rules that PIM has put in there. Now, if DVMRP or whatever is in a non-PIM cloud were to create an SG entry, then PIM should see that entry and annotate it accordingly by adding any interfaces it wants the traffic forwarding on, and then the next data packet to arrive would match that entry, not the PIM entry, so that further data packets arriving for the source on the shared tree would be dropped. I don't know. Again, I don't think it should be a special case.
Well, it wasn't really a special case the way Dave put it, but
the way that 2715 is worded right now, it's not a special case. You could, if you wanted to say in your implementation that, if I don't have a route, then I arbitrarily want to say PIM wins, and then PIM gets to choose the incoming interface, which here is the one towards the RP. If you want to do that, I mean, you can do that in an implementation, but it's somewhat analogous to having a default route in the MRIB that points into the PIM domain. What's a different route?
So we're talking about an SG and an SRG route. It's different routes. If you were to have two protocols that wanted to build a shared tree, then clearly you would have...
I'm talking about the MRIB, nothing to do with the tree construction state.
Okay.
Right? Whatever the MRIB says tells you which protocol gets to decide which is the incoming interface.
But here we're talking, PIM's talking shared tree, which has nothing to do with RPFing towards the source.
I'm just repeating what 2715 says. For any given source, the RPF protocol is the one that decides the incoming interface.
Yeah, right. So,